Do we have a treat for you or what? We've been on a little bit of a roll here with Lexus vehicles, so we're topping it off with the range topper. Not only are we looking at the best Japanese luxury sedan at the turn of the century, but we're putting it up against one of the best sedans ever made, period. The Lexus LS400. This is the full-size luxury car developed by Toyota's luxury division, and this is BMW's long wheelbase flagship. Our 2001 BMW 740iL. We're going to be showing you everything about this car, going for a drive with it, and going over all of those ultra luxuries that make this the ultimate car for any luxury enthusiast. And we'll be doing the same thing with this 7 Series, seeing if the new kid on the block could take on the German giants of automotive luxury.
First up, we have the E38 BMW 7 Series. If you're a subscriber to our channel, then you know this car well. The E38 is famous for its on- and off-screen appearances and long list of celebrities who've owned this 7 Series. The exterior styling is pretty conservative BMW, building on the success of the E32 and trickling down the designs to the smaller 5 and 3 Series models. The 7 Series has a timeless design that's aged better than most. There's not much different with our 2001 that wouldn't have been available in 1999, considering that's when BMW released their facelift with the rounded headlights, and for 2001, the clear turn signal lights helped to modernize the design. Jumping inside, we have a great comparison with the Lexus, as both cars sport beige leather seats and trim. The BMW is driver-focused, with the widescreen navigation and heating controls facing the driver. Wood trim is found throughout the door panels, dashboard, and center console. Despite having navigation as an option throughout the E38's production run, BMW decided not to incorporate the heating controls into the screen, something that Lexus opted for, which was cool at the time, but a serious problem 20 years on if that screen has failed. The front and rear seats of the 7 Series are rather flat, yet comfortable for long-distance driving. The BMW costs about $10,000 more than the Lexus LS, partially due to the extended wheelbase of the 7 Series, but also thanks to the long list of options selected on this car, such as the widescreen navigation, chrome-lined interior trim, rear sunshades, comfort seats, sports suspension with rear self-leveling suspension, heated front and rear seats, a heated steering wheel, and plenty of other goodies. Since we have a long wheelbase 7 Series, we really shouldn't talk about the extra legroom or the footrests, but the features and amenities back there would have been available on the short wheelbase 740i, such as those side sunshades and heated option. Ashtrays are located on each door, but only one lighter is available in the center of the car for the rear passengers. Jumping over to the Lexus LS, the design is rather unique across the range of vehicles Lexus was producing at the time. The front end feels a little bulkier, but includes bi-xenon headlights, washers, and the front fog lights just like the BMW. We do like the two-tone paint scheme with the Lexus over the BMW's unpainted side skirt and bumper fascias that would have been found on a similar 1999 model. Unlike the BMW though, the trunk doesn't feature a soft closing function and ultimately feels like it has less storage space. Inside we find a similar set of features throughout the entire car. Both have computer-based gauge clusters, front heated seats, auto-dimming mirrors, and automatic windows. Smaller features like HomeLink and a moonroof are also shared between the two, but that's about where the similarities end. The Nakamichi audio system was a $3,000 upgrade from the factory, but has been replaced with an aftermarket head unit that features Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The air conditioning system is also automatic with an automatic pollution filter. However, the BMW allows both front passengers independent control over their fan speed and mode. The Lexus has a sport and snow mode for the transmission, whereas BMW allows manual shifting through Steptronic, and the Lexus's gated transmission makes rowing those gears just a little harder. BMW engineers went with the big ticket items to attract customers, but Lexus was focusing on the small details in their crafted design. A vent is located in the steering column, along with another pointing towards the feet of the driver for additional airflow. The front cup holders spring out of their hiding place, and the dual glove box provides a more durable build quality and functionality to the CD changer and recirculated air filters. While the Lexus might be missing 5 inches over our long wheelbase 7 Series, it would have been the same length as the 740i, but featured some unique rear seat quirks. We really liked how Lexus worked the interior dome lighting, only illuminating the side lights for the door that's opened, as to not disturb the passenger on the other side of the car at night. The BMW features one map light on the C-pillar with a dome light, whereas the LS400 gets two map lights and one dome light per side. The back seats don't have much in the way of heating control and lack heated seats, but the cup holders are located in the armrest rather than the seat bottom, and each passenger has their own cigarette lighter, which could be useful when needing to charge devices. While most people buy these vehicles based on aesthetics, price, and overall features, we need to know how both of these full-size luxury flagships perform on the open road. So let's start it off with the 1999 Lexus LS400.
I always talk about sort of the golden age of Japanese engineering and design, and it's true. I mean, nowadays, the cars are kind of all becoming blended. Everything's kind of just as good as the next thing. But back in the 90s, everything was just a little different. Every company was doing something to stay competitive and to be unique. And I really think that Lexus was doing great things back in the 90s with this type of car, because it really just goes to show not only can you make a car that will last in terms of reliability, but it can also stand up in terms of design, because I still think this car looks fantastic. In fact, I'd say it still looks better than a lot of new cars that are being produced today. So that is a rare thing to be able to do. And the fact that they were able to get it on both points, make a car that looks pretty good and be reliable, find me something else that can compete. I think it's going to be pretty tough. The steering is a little bit wishy-washy. You can feel it's not tight like it is on a lot of other luxury cars, but still it doesn't take away from really the overall feel of the car. I mean, you really do still have complete control over where you're going. It doesn't feel like you've got any issues with really where you're pointing the vehicle. Oh yeah, and then see, even off the line, like it does pick up. It's the same engine that's in the GS400 that we filmed a little while ago. So I mean, bigger car, heavier car. Obviously, it is not going to be nearly as fast. But I got to say, if I were really to pick between the GS and the LS, you know me. If you've been watching this show since we started doing it, you know what my answer is. Bigger's better, and I'm gonna obviously have to go with the LS400. But these are just amazing cars. I'm really glad that we've been able to feature essentially one right after the other, 1 year right after the other two. So it's just great to be able to see sort of where the brand was back at the turn of the millennium, and see how well they've really aged, and really just how well they've been put together. Well, realistically, I mean, the people who get driven around in these cars, they don't wear the seatbelts anyway. They like to live dangerously. No, but there's pretty good space back here, though. And our chauffeur will take it up. I wasn't in sport mode when we were going before, so that was the reason why the transmission was still quick, but it wasn't going blistering. That's why. So you got to put the car into sport mode, and then it'll really unload that V8 engine. Now, it is difficult for us to compare a short wheelbase Lexus with the long wheelbase 7 Series, and there's a couple of reasons why we've done it this way. First of all, Lexus didn't start producing a long wheelbase variant of the LS until 2006. So even if we really wanted to, we just didn't have a long version available at the time. Second of all, we didn't have the car of this available at the time, and as you can see, we're not filming it alongside the Lexus, and that's because I can't really drive this car 800 kilometers to get back to the Toronto area. So we're filming it kind of side by side in terms of you being able to watch it this way. But we're not going to talk a whole lot about those rear seats. There are some certain things that you could get with a long wheelbase, like the legroom and the little garbage cans with this car. But aside from that, everything else that you see back there could have been optioned on a short wheelbase vehicle. You could have had the sunshades, you could have had the rear heated seats, you could have even had climate control back there with a short wheelbase version. However, with the Lexus, you were pretty limited to basically just having vents, and then the nice courtesy lights too are certainly more of an engineering design over sort of a functional one. They're nice to have, and really if you do have kids or passengers back there, they'll certainly appreciate it at night not having the lights turn on if somebody else is getting in or out of the car. But aside from that, those are really just small minor cosmetic things compared to the rest of the functionality of the vehicle. And the fact that Lexus didn't put a ton into the back seats kind of goes to show that they still weren't thinking of the Lexus LS as a limousine, somebody who's going to buy it to be driven in it. Rather, the Lexus LS was a car that people would buy to drive. So really, we've driven the Lexus, we're driving the 7 Series now, and which would I take? If they were both the same price, had the same mileage, and overall same condition, which would I spend my money on? And I think I'd still go with the BMW, despite the fact that I'm more of a luxury guy than I am performance. But it's just something special about the BMW. The Lexus LS is a fantastic car, and it's one that you really should consider if you're into having ultimate luxuries, reliability, and a very affordable price. But I just can't get over the fact that the E38 BMW is truly a special car, not only within the BMW enthusiast community, but also outside of it. And that, I think, is where it gets most of its street cred. You know, the Lexus LS is great, and especially within the Lexus communities, people love those cars. But really, outside of that, you're not going to get a lot of fandom. But with this car, no matter where you go, people are going to be looking at you and asking and wondering, you know, what the story is with this car. So if it was today and I was buying them again, I still would buy the 7 Series. But if I had the money to be able to afford another car that I could daily drive reliably, have some of the same functionality, and really have a nice interior, then the Lexus LS is certainly one to consider as well. And I think that's what it's really going to come down to. If you want more of a sporty, timeless design, you're going to go with the BMW. If you do want those luxuries, but also have that added reliability as well, then there's no doubt the Lexus LS is the one to pick up.
The BMW's ride is firm in comparison to the Lexus, and it has a much tighter steering feel to it through the corners. Performance seems to be about the same between the two, though the Lexus gets more power out of a smaller engine, but is about 700 pounds lighter thanks to its shorter wheelbase. Beauty will always be in the eye of the beholder. While some might like the design of the 7 Series over the LS, there will always be others who are the opposite, so there's no wrong answer as to which looks better. In terms of current cost, both should run about the same price. Now, we can't speak for every market on Earth, but here in Canada there are 5 second-generation LS400s for sale with an average asking price of $3,200, the most being $8,200 and the least being $15,000. There are 8 E38 740i's for sale with an average asking price of $5,300, with the most expensive at $6,500 and the least at $35,000. Reliability is really the major difference between these two. We've discussed all the E38's flaws in several videos, including our E38 buyer's guide and the various spotlight episodes we've produced for individual cars. The engines on newer models can be less reliable and costly to repair if something goes wrong. Random electrical issues could cause issues, as some faults end up being difficult to diagnose. The LS400 has a better track record for engine repairs, but regular maintenance is required to keep the car on the road for longer. The starter motors will fail on these cars, and the suspension can be costly to service as it wears out. The fact is, though, more LS400s are in service today with higher mileage than the BMW, but your mileage will vary depending on your own specific car. We always recommend having the car inspected by a trusted mechanic before final decisions are made, especially if you're buying one of these cars as a daily driver and will be relying on it. In short, the Lexus is the car you want for reliability and comfort, both from a ride and seating perspective. The BMW is your car if you want a timeless design with more of a sport-oriented experience and plan on working on the car yourself to help offset costs and downtime. Really though, you're going to buy the car that you want regardless. We hope that this video has helped you understand these two full-size luxury flagships a little bit better. Thanks for watching our showdown on the 1999 Lexus LS400 and 2001 BMW 740iL. As always, your support helps make this show possible, so please like the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already.